Hello, good evening, and welcome to Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television. Iron Port is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Revenue Authority, Goel PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, MPS, and indeed Phoenix Insurance. This show is proudly powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, GPHA, and our media partner on this journey of a lifetime is the Business and Financial Times, the BNFT. Now, if you want to have a grasp of all that transpired on the show tonight, make a date and grab the Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to see all that happened here tonight. We are streaming live on our social media pages. On Facebook, we are live at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Still on Facebook, we are live at Port of Tema. And on YouTube, we are streaming live at Iron Port Ghana. Iron Port Ghana. Indeed, when we pick signals from the production team, we shall activate the phone lines along the line for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. And we also would want to hear from you. So send us your messages and comments via our dedicated WhatsApp line, which is 0559 177 0559 and at the appropriate time we shall share that with the rest of the world. My name is Kennedy Mona. We are going for a quick break. When we return, we'll continue with the show. Please stay with us.
Guys, no, I'm tired. I'll go on a date with whoever gets here first.
Princess, really?
Okay, I dey come.
Shut up!
Mame, feel me tank mama wati.
Boss, fill my tank with Super XP Euro 95.
Blow up with Super XP Ron 95 and Diesel XP high performance products from Goel.
Sorry, Tony got here first, so I'm stepping with him.
Oh, cut him.
Hey, go for na buajungwa mami.
Choose Super XP Ron 95 and Diesel XP for an energizing driving experience. Always go for Goel Super XP Ron 95. Goel, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah, our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Currently, my goods are on the high seas, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance
for the projects, and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life
can be like the sea sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302 246 319 or 0243 690 492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
All right, so welcome back. We are now going to take a look at some happenings in the port and shipping industry in the course of the week. And indeed, in the course of the week, some local, traders and manufacturers have called for government intervention to help, lessen the cost of doing business. Plus the fact that during the week, the Regional Maritime University, held its 17th congregation, during which 445 students passed out. Let's take a look at these stories and more.
The Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, has embarked on an outreach program with local industries in a bid to promote patronage of made-in-Ghana products. As part of its nationwide exercise, GUTA within the week visited Avnash Industries in Tema to observe firsthand the various product lines of the company and how they are manufactured. The visit was also used to ascertain the challenges the company is presently encountering and how the Manufacturer and Trading Association can forge stronger ties to ameliorate these challenges and boost business. Avnash is an agro-based processing company operating in the country since 2001, serving the Ghanaian market in other West African countries. Producers of Royal Farmers Rice, Golden Drop Oil, Oli Soap, among others, Avnash has gained expertise in edible oil production, soap saponification, and parboiled rice production. Despite the fact that the company boasts of one of the biggest rice processing factories in West Africa, Avnash, like other local manufacturers, laments of high cost of doing business in Ghana, making it difficult to stay competitive. Imported rice, for example, presently costs 22% less than what is manufactured locally. Valpaul Jane is the Chief Operating Officer of Avnash Industries Ghana Limited.
So now we are uncompetitive because Malaysian oil is cheaper than ours. So that is the reason why every country is doing the same. Benin has done in the past, Sierra Leone has done in the past, and Senegal has done now. So we also beg the government that they should now today in Ghana the product is from Ivory Coast and Togo, just because they can bring without duty to Ghana, no? And other countries, whereas when we want to go, we are faced with this barrier of extra taxes.
The president of GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obin, said, as a matter of urgency, governments should develop policies that will support local manufacturers and their downstream partners to trade effectively and efficiently.
What we have seen here means that they are producing under capacity. Why is it so? Because the enabling environment is simply not there for them. And it is not the making of the trader that this enabling environment is not there. We have to make deliberate effort by government. Government should do a deliberate effort to make sure that they are reviving the dying industries, as we've seen in this company. A company that used to employ about over 1,000 employees are now employing only about 200.
This year marks the 65th anniversary of the establishment of the then Ghana Nautical College, now the Regional Maritime University, and 40 years since its regionalization. The anniversary is being marked with a series of activities which is expected to continue throughout the year. Preceding these activities last Friday was the 29th meeting of the Board of Governors, where the various members reaffirmed their commitment to the goal of promoting regional cooperation in the maritime industry through world-class training and higher learning.
It is my hope, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that this remarkable integration in RMU will continue to be a hallmark of exemplary and distinct determiner for our unity of purpose within the West Africa sub-region and the entire African continent.
Once again, under the banner of regional integration of our brotherly nations, with a common goal of the advancement of our noble university, the Regional Maritime University. We, as respective member states, are full of hope and confidence that our aspirations to fulfill the dreams of our predecessors will be achieved by training and equipping our citizens to not only participate but control the maritime sector in our respective nations in the world at large.
We hereby formally table a request for the review of the 40-year-old headquarters agreement. I have no doubt that we will have an unbiased conversation about the future of the RMU with a shared agenda focused on the social, political, and economic integration of our various countries.
We are still in communication with the Africa Development Bank, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Office, and Afrexim Bank, where we have made a strong case for the role of maritime transport in the continental trade aspirations of these bodies. Therein, MOCA has frontally presented the technical and skill inputs that our specialized institutions will bring to bear. I'm glad to inform that our observations have been noted with assured promises to assist our schools to grow the needed capacities and competence for our maritime industries. It is a non-contestable fact that we can save our foreign exchange if we grow this school to provide some certification and competency courses that we can receive from outside the sub-region, just as we will be able to generate foreign exchange earnings if we can also become maritime trading hubs. It is possible and achievable if we try.
The board of RMU is made up of the Vice Chancellor of the University, the Secretary General of the Maritime Organization of West and Central Africa, and representatives of the 5 founding nations, namely Ghana, Cameroon, the Gambia, Sierra Leone, and Liberia. The Minister of Transport, Works and Infrastructure, Republic of the Gambia, is the current board chairman and chancellor of the university. The Regional Maritime University has also held its 17th Congregation ceremony where 445 students were admitted to degrees and awarded diplomas and prizes. In addition to friends and families of the graduates, students and staff of the school, this year's colorful ceremony was attended by many dignitaries including Ministers of State of founding nations of the university and the Vice President of Liberia, Joel Taylor. Awards were also conferred on outstanding students, long-serving committee of expert members, alumni, and exceptional workers of the institution. Addressing the congregation, Acting Vice Chancellor of the University, Dr. Jethro Brooks Jr., gave an update of developments in the school, which includes a Ghana-Korea RMU modernization project.
Works on the administration and library complex and a 2,002-seated capacity auditorium complex have stalled due to lack of funds. It is our hope that the government of Ghana, of the Republic of Ghana, which is sponsoring the project, will endeavor to release funds in a timely manner to ensure the early completion of the project. Honorable Chancellor, as you are aware, the Exim Bank of Korea is supporting the government of Ghana to modernize the Regional Maritime University. It is expected that that project will begin soon.
Special guest of honor and Minister of Higher Education, Science and Technology for Republic of the Gambia, Professor Pierre Gomez, acknowledged the RMU's leadership position for the integration of African resources towards sustainable growth.
Regionalization and all its inherent benefits, such as the harmonization of resources, skills, and ideas, remain a plausible panacea for Africa's growth and development. RMU is therefore a shining example of such a model that others can use. It is hoped that the pillars of this great union are further concretized for the actualization of the goals of this institution.
The Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, Samson Asaki Awengobet, and also a graduate of the MA Ports and Shipping Administration class, delivered a valedictory speech.
We understand, having keenly participated in the various activities in the academic process, some of the issues that this noble and great institution is bedeviled with and which require some attention. I wish to assure management of the university that by our training here, we have become ambassadors and will be advocates for the necessary and requisite support and assistance to enable it maintain and enhance the training of maritime professionals in Africa and the world.
Speaking on the sidelines of the graduating ceremony, the outgoing SRC president of the Regional Maritime University, Alex Abayete, made one more appeal. He called on government and industry to forge stronger collaborations with academia for specific sponsorship programs for students.
If you quite remember, when we visited the studios of Metro TV recently, one of my teaching assistants, that is Mr. George Obing, he stated clearly how he couldn't even obtain a scholarship to read masters in naval architecture because he had to go through the treadmill. So I would encourage that government liaise with the industry such as the Ghana Maritime Authority, the Ghana Ports and Harbour Authorities, the MPS, Tema, Terminal 3 and the likes to sponsor specific disciplines to go and study and then improve upon our maritime industry. One of the areas I'm particular about that I spoke about is the naval architecture. It's hard getting a scholarship to read naval architecture because the tuition, the cost of reading naval architecture outside Ghana, it's very expensive, of which an individual cannot take care of. So it would need a corporate body to help that individual. You look at our innovative projects, most of them need funding, most of them need a push so that the students will be able to take it further. That's what I'm requesting from government, the industry, and the university.
All right, so welcome back. We are now going for the word or phrase of the day. And remember, the word or phrase of the day has been fashioned to bring you up to speed with the terminologies and jargons we use in the shipping industry. Today's word is terminal charge. Terminal charge.
Terminal charge. Terminal charge is a charge made for a service performed in a terminal area, typically referring to handling associated with receipt, delivery, or inspection of cargo via land-based operations.
All right, so welcome back. We are zooming into our discussion proper tonight, and tonight we're taking a look at the approval of the protocols for the phase 2 of the AfCFTA agreement, and we're going to take a look at the relevance of this particular phase 2 of the protocols on international or continental trade. And so tonight we have assembled a team in the persons of Mr. Louis Yao Afol, who is an international trade expert and executive director, APN Group of Firms and Africa Business Export Club 500. Good evening, Mr. Yao Afol, and welcome. You are no stranger to the show. We're glad to have you tonight once again.
A pleasure.
To my immediate left is Madam Alice Frimpoma Boateng, who is founder AFB Golden Enterprise. Good evening, ma'am, and welcome.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. And then we also have to my right Mr. Pia Kusi Adumako, who is the West Africa Regional Director, CATS International, Accra. Good evening, sir, and welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Not a stranger to the show, too. We are glad to have you. Yeah, so let me begin with Mr. Yao Afol and find out from you, what were the initial protocols? Can you run us through that quickly, and then we zoom into the phase 2 of that has been approved so far?
Yeah, I think that the good evening to your viewers, and also good evening to our colleagues, Adumako and Alice.
Yeah.
The initial protocols were traditionally trading goods, trading services, dispute settlement to cover phase 1. And then the phase 2 was to look at intellectual property rights, the protocol in competition policy, and investment. And then you could look at digital trade. These were the traditional, when I say traditional, these were what the heads of states, in a normal, ordinary man's words, gave to the secretariat or those drafters to focus on.
Right.
But with time, then they had to look at the coming ones, like digital trade, and then protocol women and youth in trade. So traditionally, yes, the phase 2 is part of the original protocols that were initiated.
Mr. Adumako, what do you have for us as far as these protocols are concerned, and how far have we come? Have we been able to follow through to ensure that we actually have dealt with the phase 1, that's the initial protocols that were agreed on and approved, before zooming into the phase 2?
Okay, thank you very much. I think, as my brother just said, the phase 1, the agreement that established the AfCFTA, came with some protocols, trade in goods and trade in services, and also dispute settlement.
Right.
Yes. Now, the member state didn't want to wait till all the protocols were ready.
Right.
So we said, let's phase them. The first two, the earlier protocols were good for the AfCFTA to be able to take off. But then they also felt that, look, we needed to also get intellectual property rights.
Right.
We needed to get competition policy protocol and also that of the investment
protocol, yeah, sure.
Yes. And even there are other ones that are still ongoing. That is what digital trade, that's the e-commerce, protocols on youth and gender, and other ones going.
Right.
So I think the gradualization of it would also help member states to be able to adjust to it. You don't want to come and dump 10 protocols on countries. Compliance of them will be very, very difficult.
Right. Okay, so from what we know, this means that the 3 protocols, we have 3 protocols in the phase 2.
Yes.
Is that right? That's the intellectual property rights protocol, the competition protocols, and then the, what do we call it? Investment protocols. Okay, so let me come to Mr. Alpha. I'll be coming to you, man. Just relax, I'll be coming to you. Let me come to you, and if you can, first of all, tell us about the competition policy. That's the number one, how different that is from competition law. If we can
I'm
draw
sure
the
that,
dichotomy.
I'm even sure that will be a big in Adomaku space. But
right.
I think that under the Continental Free Trade, you realize that you are going to have a big market. You realize you're going to have trade, you're going to have businesses springing up here and there. And so you're going to have surely to deal with markets. Even your basic economics will tell you there are different types of markets. And we have the ones that are competitive.
Right.
In other words, you're going to have substitutes. And when you have a substitute, you're going to have people having prices at their disposal to choose. And so the policy is different from the law. But most of the time, the policy looks at the kind of laid down regulations and things that you do to promote a good business environment. And the law also looks at basically looking at how you work against anti-practices, trade practices or competitive practices. Like trying to monopolies taking a certain entrenched positions. And at the end of the day, they try to use ordinary word, bully the smaller businesses by looking at price. Price is the major influencer here. And so the policy, what's the competitive policy, more it looks like how the arrangements of maybe regulations and things that will enable a good business environment. And then the law also looks at what can we do to make sure that we safeguard anti-competitive practices.
Right.
So on the continental scale, then they are looking at when the AfCFTA is in full gear, which it is, what are the various national policies, competitive policies that state parties have put together? Then it will be harmonized under the continental framework, where then, as a continental market, how are we going to safeguard with this protocol certain laws that will protect the African market? Because we really have a very high risk exposure when it comes to our competitive market and the rest of the world.
Right.
So for me, I think that this is the initial point I would like to put around the difference between and I do my more competitive.
Yes. All right. So yes, I'll come to you, but when I come, I'll tell you what I want to ask you. Ghana, the ECOWAS region, we have competition policy and law. Ghana is trying to have her own competition policy and law. Why are we having one generally for AfTA? When I come, I'll take that. But let me come to you. Tell us about your company. That is AFB Golden Enterprise.
Good evening to your cherished viewers.
And your connection to AfTA, yes. Yes, please flow.
Good evening to your cherished viewers. So, at AFB Golden Enterprise, we are into the production of green hair care products, green skin care products, plant-based household chemicals, We also do skills training development. So we use edible ingredients like mango butter, shea butter, avocado butter, coconut oil, almond oil to produce cosmetic products. Because we believe that what's the essence of looking beautiful at the expense of your health, at the expense of the environment. So we try as much as possible to be eco-friendly regarding our production processes. So right from sourcing of our raw materials through to production, through to delivery, we make sure that we try as much as possible to zero our carbon footprint. So our products are super safe for the environment, safe for the health of our people. So for instance, we have the AFB mango butter, we have the AFB shea butter, we have the AFB African black soap, we have the AFB hair fertilizer. So for a gentleman experiencing alopecia, baldness, for a lady experiencing early hair rescinding, discolored hair, like your color, everything is just funny. What we do is that we get to give you a product that gets to suit you. So we have a tailored product for every customer group. So regardless of what you're experiencing, we are just a phone call away.
Okay, so how are you connected to AfCFTA?
All right, okay, so I happen to participate in a program they organized in Kenya. That's Ghana Expo in Kenya.
The Trade House, yeah.
Okay, yes. Where they launched the new Ghana Trade House in Kenya.
Yes.
So we're happy to participate today. And what this means to our brand is that we are able to access a bigger market. Because in less than 24 hours of we getting to Kenya, we're able to sell over half of our products.
Wow.
So that still brings us to the fact that there's an available market waiting. It's left for goods to be supplied. Within 24 hours, we're almost halfway through. And interestingly, the National Coordinating Council handled everything regarding transporting the product to Kenya, regarding the location for us to sell our product. Everything was handled by them. So which means that I think the AfCFTA policy is really getting to the heads of Africa. And we are embracing it in good faith. Because I was able to meet key industry players. I was able to meet interesting Africans who believe in Africa, who wouldn't mind to invest in buying made in Africa products. And this means that gradually we're moving from the consumption mindset to the production mindset. We are embracing our own.
Absolutely.
And I think it's something we must commend them.
Awesome. Awesome. So when I come back to you, I will try to find out from you what your experience has been with other African countries in terms of your quest to clear your goods when you ship them there, to access their markets. So let me come to Mr. Adumako and find out from you. Yes, we have, the ECOWAS region has its own competition policy and law. Ghana is trying to have our own. And now, boom, there's, this one for AfCFTA. Tell us about it.
Okay, thank you very much. So I would like to go back to what my brother was trying to say.
Yes.
With regards to the policy, Ghana, per our laws, there should be no bill going to cabinet without a policy guiding it. And normally the policy gives the bill the guiding focus. The policy cannot bite. It is only when you put the thing into the law, then it becomes binding. So currently we have a draft competition policy. We also have a draft competition bill, which I'm told should be going to cabinet before the end of the year. Now, coming back to your question, under the rules, every country in Africa is supposed to have its own competition law and policy. Ghana belongs to ECOWAS. We also have ECOWAS competition protocol, which is for the West African countries. And we also have the AfCFTA one. Now, there is no clash between these three protocols. One, the Ghana's competition law would deal with anti-competitive issues within the borders of Ghana. However, when it's within Ghana and any other country within the West African region, then the ECOWAS law is the one that will come into play. Even the AfCFTA one will not, for example, if Nigerian firm expresses, makes a complaint that Ghanaian government, as a result of subsidy to a particular firm, that firm is able to produce and sell their goods cheaper. That is what we call state aid. And they raise the issue. That issue must be raised at the ECOWAS level, not at the AfCFTA level. Now, if it is between, let's say, a country in West Africa and a country in any other African country, then the AfCFTA one is going to, is going to be will have the jurisdiction on them on the issue.
Right. Okay. So tell us about the jurisdiction of the competitive policy protocol.
I think that with respect to what Adomako was saying, the one bit of the AfCFTA own looks at the fact that it says that as we speak currently, it's not in force. It says as and when this protocol is adopted, meaning that it was about this year or so, I think last year or this year. So 3 years from this moment before it comes to force. So in its state now, it is in kind of theory, it's hanging. So it cannot be implemented after 3 years.
Right.
So the question arises, as Adumako was saying, we have regional jurisdictional issues.
Right.
What happens? Then again, if you look at this, the AfCFTA one key thing in the protocol is that it acknowledges national interest and national treatment.
Right.
Okay, and that is what Adumako was trying to say. That means that it respects in the state parties' policies that have been put in place.
Right.
It respects regional policies that have been put in place. At the end of the day, it is when it has to become harmonized for the regions that AfCFTA takes supra.
Right.
And I think all this is geared towards, like he said. I mean, if you go deep down, you will see that, for example, if you look at Ghana, for example, yes, since 2000, we've had, I think, at 598, which has been kind of legislating around anti-competitive practices. So, and if you go to the other regions, the same applies. So basically, the referee will be the secretariat in the next 2 or 3 years when it's fully implemented.
Yes.
And I'm sure by that time, the bill that he's talking about will now be ready. And then I'm also sure, from what I heard from the Ministry of Trade, was that all these were also playing, and Adumako can correct if I'm wrong, all these were playing so that they can also have a way to look at the shape, that the strategy that the AfCFTA Continental policy will look like.
Yes.
That can also advise the bill in its full shape. That is good. And it's the same thing that also applies to the investments.
Right.
If you look at the GIPC, who are also trying to push for the investment law, for that I know that the CEO, they were also trying to look at how the Continental investment protocol will look like. Then they can be able to kind of, do bits here and there so that it can have a continental bite.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Awesome. I would come to you so that we can zoom proper into the anti-competitive conduct, because I know it's one of the conducts stated in the protocol, anti-competitive conduct. What exactly it is about and why it is important to capture it there in the protocols. But let me come to you. I told you I was going to find out from you what your experience have been with other countries in your quest to clear your goods when you ship them there under the AfTA agreement.
All right, thank you so much. So, sincerely speaking, my first experience with AfTA had to do with my trip to Kenya.
The guided trip.
Yeah, of which I didn't incur any costs, of which I didn't pay a penny.
Okay.
Regarding transporting my product there, clearing it. The National Coordinating Council of AfTA Secretariat took care of that.
Okay.
So I wouldn't
As the
be
National
able...
Coordinating Office.
Yes. I wouldn't be able to speak to that effect. So I haven't exported on my own under AfTA, but currently we were given the certificate of origin from the NCU.
Right.
And right after the trip in Kenya, I've been able to export, but I had to export under Ghana Export Promotion Authority, of which they equally took care of that cost. So personally, I can't say I incurred those costs, and for that matter, yes. But per statistics, we expected that it's supposed to reduce tariff.
Right.
And Kenya is part of the developed countries.
That's your microphone, so look into it while you are speaking. The one that's lighted.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, yeah,
so Kenya is a developed country. So as we speak currently, I'm told that within 5 years, they're supposed to reduce 90%.
Right.
And currently, they've reduced 60% tariff. And the least developed countries are supposed to reduce 90% within 10 years. And as we speak, they've done 30%. So participated in Kenya means that they've been able to reduce the tariff for 60%. Yeah.
So it means that you've experienced some reduced tariffs.
Yeah.
And you are so happy about it because you are saving a lot of money.
Yeah, and so it has made my product much more competitive regarding pricing on the shelf.
Okay. All right. Mr. Adomako, yes, anti-competitive conduct. What is it as captured in the protocol?
Okay, thank you very much. You know, it's like football. When we are playing a football match, we all want to play the football match on a level playing field so that no one gets an advantage, unusual advantage
over the other.
So also when we are in the market should be a level playing field for everybody. When the market has a level playing field for everybody, what it means is that no one should take advantage of the other. For example, we are selling bottled water. And the bottled water is, let's say, 5 cedis. Then the next month, all the producers of bottled water come together and say that, look, let us agree that to sell one bottled water for 20 Ghana cedis. And when it happens like that, they become uncompetitive among themselves.
Right.
Because there will be no edge among the parties to be able to improve upon quality. But perhaps before that, because they were competing, you could see that one was selling his product lower than the other, quality and also good customer service delivery. Because they come together. Recently, I went to Tamale. When I got to the airport and I wanted to take a taxi to the city, and they said that, look, where you are going, it's 180 Ghana cedis. And
180?
180.
Yeah.
And that was what all of
on
them
the
were
airport, because the airport is far, you know.
No, but then they have agreed how much they should charge.
So if you jump onto the next driver and then it's also the same price.
Yes, and even if the next driver car doesn't have an air condition or it's a rickety car, you're all going to pay the same.
Absolutely.
But if they had not agreed among themselves, you could see that the prices variation. You could have seen the price variation.
Somebody could opt for 115 instead of the 180.
Yes. So this is what we call price fixing, and price fixing is also what anti-competitive practice. And in Ghana, we have it here all the time. Today, you hear that sachet water producers have agreed to sell a bag of this. Even the OMC sometimes, and these are all, offense under the proposed competition and fair practices bill we have in Ghana. So when the law becomes operational, if a firm, people agree as to how much to sell their product, that you could go to jail or you could be fined. And when you look at in the EU, for example, a lot of firms are being fined billions of dollars for engaging in anti-competitive practice. So the first one I've talked about is price fixing. The next one is bid rigging. Bid rigging normally goes on in public procurement. Let's say government of Ghana decide that, look, we want firms to supply us, let's say, laptop.
Right.
And then 5 companies agree among themselves that, look, for this particular procurement, we want company A to win. So all of them will quote a very, very high, unrealistic prices.
Yes.
And so that the other one, though his price is the lowest among them, but in the market terms, it's still the highest though.
Right.
So that is what a bid rigging. The other anti-competitive practice we have is also market sharing agreement. So you can have, let me use the cement market, for example. We have about 5 or 6 producers of cement. And one of them will say, look, let's say Dangote say, I'm taking a Greater Accra region. So all the others will not come here to sell. And then Gasem will take Ashanti region. And then the others will take, Jata will take Northern region.
Yes.
So that nobody comes to compete with each other in the regions where you are selling.
Right.
Because you have no competitor in the region.
For instance, we have Diamond in Aflao as well.
That used to be the case.
Yes.
But today, we don't have that scenario.
Right.
So market sharing agreement is also an anti-competitive because they don't want to compete among themselves. Then we also talk about what? Abusive monopoly. Sometimes a firm can be so big, and once they are big, they decide to what? Abuse their monopoly.
Yeah.
It's like, I remember when I was a child, we used to buy wache from one particular seller. That was the only wache seller in the community. And you get there by 8:50, the woman hadn't come. You see a lot of people forming a queue, one logo line. Then when the woman even comes, she will not even apologize for being late.
But she was the only one?
Yes. And then along the line, another competitor came onto the market. By 6:45, that person had come. That person started selling better watch than the lady.
Yes.
The customer service and ethics were also better. So the market tilted to the other side. So whenever firms become big, they tend to abuse their monopolies.
Right.
And that is also something that competition law is also against. And also we have excessive pricing. Excessive pricing is also around. I mean, a firm can decide to charge so much that when you look at the cost of production, even the profit margin, you cannot see any alignment. And that is also something that competition law seeks to, address.
Would you be kind enough to tell us about the competition bill and when we are expecting it?
Okay, so as Louis said, the bill has been around since 2007.
Right. 2007?
Yes,
right.
It has gone through various regimes and various ministers. The last Minister for Trade, Honorable Shematins, wanted us to have the AfCFTA protocol on competition first. So that once we get a protocol, Ghana will use the protocol to do any patching on the bill. So now that the protocol has come, a lot of work is going behind the scenes, which I'm also involved in terms of putting finishing touches on the policy and also the bill. Right. And I'm very confident that hopefully by end of first quarter of next year, we should get the competition policy in the bill. And also, when you look at the AfCFTA protocol, Article 12 of the competition protocol, it says that all member countries must have competition laws and competition authority.
Yeah.
And so Ghana cannot drag its feet. So very soon, all the firms who are engaging in price fixing and other anti-competitive practices, they should know that their days are over and that the market will have competition authority to regulate the conduct, like we see in the EU. Always the EU competition authority, they are finding businesses. They are also preventing some mergers, and I forgot to talk about it. Sometimes two firms will decide to merge, and when they merge, like when competitors merge, for example, in an hypothetical scenario, in the telecom sector, we have Airtel Tigo merge. Now we are left. We have three players: Vodafone, Airtel Tigo, and then MTN.
Yes.
Let's say that Vodafone and MTN merges. What it means is that we are reducing the competition among them, and then the prices will go up.
Right.
And so competition law also regulates the issue of what? Mergers and acquisitions. So anytime firms want to merge, they must get clearance from the competition authority. They will assess the impact of the merger on the market. If the impact of the merger is going to lessen competition, then they will not permit that. And so in the EU, in the US, you've always been hearing that, especially in the US, the Department of Justice will go to court to block competitions. I remember in 2015 or so, Time Warner and Comcast wanted to merge.
Right.
They went to court to block it.
Yeah.
But in Ghana, recently, in the telecom sector again, in the upstream, we have the upstream, we have these three firms, those who provide tower services, the mass services.
Yes,
there were three companies, Helios, Eaton, and ATC. And NCA allowed two of them to merge.
Right.
Those two firms who merge, their share of the market is more than 80%.
Right.
And which is unfair, because what it means is that they are going to gain strength.
Yeah.
They will have a bigger bargaining power. They are going to charge the telecom firm to pay more.
Yeah.
And so in every country with a competition law, this merger would not have been allowed to.
Okay.
But the good thing about competition law is that though laws per our constitution, laws are not supposed to take retrospective effect. But when competition law is passed and it sees that a measure that preceded the coming of the bill, of the law, the competition authority can look at it to the extent that the effect of the measure exists, they would ask the firms to what? Divest some of the assets to the other firms so that they'll be able to what? Lessen the anti-competitive practice in it.
Wow. Awesome.
What I wanted to add to the abuse of monopoly,
right?
I mean, in the ordinary man words, is that if you look at the Ghana's the bill when it's ready, it's going to establish a commission,
right?
It's going to establish a competitive commission where they'll look into practices, but the abuse of monopoly is something that we really look. Why? Because when there is abuse of monopoly, one of the things that happens is that it leads to complacency of these companies.
Right.
And that complacency takes us to low quality of product or services. Because after all, they are they are taking the share. And so one important thing, and it's very, very important, it's happening here. When there is abuse of monopoly, it really stifles the growth of the what do you call it, the upcoming smaller companies. And for some time, I've tried to understand why in Africa we seem not to be able to bite when it comes to our competition laws. And you realize that if you look at the governance structure around establishing companies and businesses, you realize that if really it's the private sector really involved, it shouldn't be difficult. But when you have other players other than the private sector who have a certain kind of strong shares in these companies, when they are behind the scenes and their companies reaches to the level where they become monopolies and they merge. Let's take example the oil industries in Russia, the oligarchs. You realize that the oligarchs are not just existing by the mere fact. There are some players behind the oligarchs. And so if you have the referee becoming a player and his company is up there, what happens to those who are coming up? Take a critical look at Ghana here. Like he say, if you take the, let me use the refuse management, the waste management industry, you could see a strong monopoly.
We don't want to mention names.
No. You could see a strong. I mean, if it's good, for me, it's not about the monopolies. I'm saying that when they become complacent, and then their complacency is leading to low quality of products. At the same time, like Adumaku said, the price are the same. Then it becomes problematic. Then there's growing ones cannot complain. And so if you look at the Continental Free Trade, I think it's taking a cue from some of the abuses that you see in the Silicon Valley in the US. And I'm happy that anytime those authorities within US or Europe sees those kind of, they immediately have to cap the feathers. A critical example, I remember the case was between Google along the line and Microsoft. I think Google especially. Then before the coming in of AI, the moment Google saw, I think Microsoft or Google, one of them, the moment they saw another, upcoming player, then they began to come in with certain dominance. The court said no. They were fined for that. And also the same thing happened in Europe, if it was a big one. So we are saying that continentally, since our market is fragile and volatile, we should not allow third-party monopolies to dominate the what do you call it? Adumaku, you remember the here in the petroleum we had measure between Mobil and I think Total.
Total, yes.
Mobil and Total.
Right.
So for my concern is has to do with the fact that the monopolies should not lead to complacency where the quality of products is really down and then the price is made still the same.
Right. Okay. So let me come to you, Frimpoma Alice, and find out from you. You made mention of the fact that yes, that initial participation in some of these fairs was the guided trade tour, which was put together by the Ghana Export Promotion Authority in Kenya, where you said you had the privilege of selling, within the twinkle of an eye, half of the products that you shipped there for that particular fair. Which other countries are you looking at going to?
All right, okay, so I have done Nigeria. I've done Rwanda.
Okay, Rwanda. Okay.
I've done Ivory Coast. And I've done Kenya.
Wow.
I'm looking forward to do Tanzania.
Okay.
So in September, the National Coordinating Office is organizing one in Tanzania. And I'm looking forward to participate.
This time it's not the GEPA, it's the National Coordinating Office.
The first was the National Coordinating Office.
Okay, in collaboration with GEPA.
Collaboration with
GEPA. One that they are in the same building as well. So I think
it's like, because the two institutions are under Ministry of Trade.
Right.
And the coordinating office is more like the offshoot of the Ministry of Trade's implementing agency.
Yeah.
Then GEPA, you know what they do already. So the two have been putting those local events, together.
Yeah.
No, but I wanted to find out from Ali some of the negative experiences they had in Nigeria. Because at the time, what I heard was that most of them went there. They went to Nigeria.
They didn't want to
3 weeks, the goods were still to be cleared.
Wow, in the ports, okay.
So what is the essence of going?
Yeah.
You went ahead of your goods. And this is where the free movement is important because capital needs to go with the labor. The person has moved in to trade or to do what we call trade missions or exhibition, which is key. Then the goods which he's supposed to sell are behind the borders. Or with customs.
The fellow is wasting a lot of money on hotel
I wanted
bills
to throw light on it because it was a serious blow, you know.
So tell us, was that something you really experienced?
Okay, so it was something we experienced last year. And I think as at that time, after it existed all right, but I'm sure that they had some issues. So I think it's a new policy and we're about adapting to it. We're about getting used to it. So I'm not sure the same thing will happen this year.
Right.
You get it?
Right.
Unlike we going to Kenya, and by the time we go to Kenya, ourselves are already there.
Right.
Everything was figured out. You get it? Which means, like, 2022 and 2023, I could see difference. Not just regarding the fact that we got there and we made sales, but regarding the fact that our products got there safe. We even had to go with some extra kilos.
Right.
And right at the airport, just because we mentioned after, just because we were told, we told them that we are coming in the name of Ghana, we are here to exhibit our stuff. Everything was figured out. You get it? So talking about what happened in Nigeria, I think
it belongs there. That you don't want
I wouldn't want
this
to
year.
lay emphasis
You
there.
realize that, you realize that we need to solve it because we are boosting what we call intra-African trade. You see, there was no way that Alice's goods going to Kenya. This is by air.
Yeah.
And how do you go to Kenya by which means? There is no way you go to Kenya and your goods will be here.
Right.
But we are trying to boost intra-African trade. We are trying to boost cross-border trade.
Right.
So the cross-border trade should be as sure as going by air.
Right.
If you cannot move your goods across even ECOWAS, and you go ahead of it and your goods are behind the border, it's something we need to be concerned. Because that is the key. Because if the cross-border trade is not going to be effective, then it's going to be a problem because that is the one closer to you. And you have what we call, you have transport. All the players say they have agreed to what we call liberalized transport under the AfCFTA. So what is the problem? Now you have agreed that you are going to do what we call custom management and cooperation. So what is the problem? Now open your borders. Your customs people, is that they are not having capacity building, that they know that these goods or these products have been liberalized and we are accepting them. And at the end of the day, it's like unconcerned. That was what happened to Ghana when we did the pilot
shipment to
South Africa.
Right.
Under Gandor and
Casapreco. Yes.
It's like the custom officers were not even ready. And for me, I'm saying repeat because the Secretary General at one point in time said, I remember I asked him a personal question that, what is your personal challenge? And then he said his personal challenge is the fact that it seems that they are not using the parties are not legislating to what they've agreed.
Right.
In other words, you have agreed that this will happen, but you are not putting legislative measures to really bite what you are doing. So the next one that they do in these West African countries, we are expecting that the borders will be open for traders to go. We are expecting a custom management will be aware that there's something like this happening, not that they are isolated from the agreement practice. And then we also want to make sure that they are cleared on time, because it is inside your system. You know what is an after product.
Yeah.
It's not now that your custom people are going to be taking. These are the critical problems we need to iron out so that such kind of trade agreements or practices can be, effective.
So,
but Kennedy,
yes,
Jamil, I think we must also manage our expectation that Rome was not built in a day. Even the EU, when they started, they had a lot of challenges.
Right.
And it will take some time to get almost everybody on the same page. If Ghana, we are in a comfortable lead because there has been a lot of investment in terms of align all frontline institutions of AfCFTA to the test of the agreement. Some countries are yet even to train their customs, so they say they are still using the WTO or the previously arranged protocols to treat these goods.
Yeah.
So I think what we need to do, like what Secretary General said, that it appears countries are not legislating locally, because once you ratify the agreement at the continental level, you sign and it's ratified domestically. You also need to retool your laws and your procedure so that goods that are coming. I'll be happy to see that when you get to the airport or you get to the port, there should be a route, AfCFTA route. So that if your product is coming through the AfCFTA, you are giving, like at the Kotoka airport, we get there, we have queue for Ghanaians, ECOWAS, and then Africans and the rest of the world. So we should also have a dedicated route for AfCFTA-related matters, so that those people who are manning that particular gate will be more informed to be able to discharge their duty as required of them.
It is in the in terms of the software, Ghana has done it to the ICOMs.
Right.
Is it ICOMs? Yeah. They have an after specific, especially made after incoming product codes.
Right.
So they should they have to be intentional. Like at Marcus, we know that that next year will be 5 years.
Yes.
And the heads of states are going to review, assess AfCFTA. Remember in the agreement, it says it's after 5 years that a member state can exit.
Right.
So let's assume, let's play the devil's advocate. Next year, if they're going to review by November, they have review and they say, maybe country A said, looking at what is happening. In fact, initially, 2 years ago, Gambia wanted to opt out.
Right.
It's not that it's going to save Gambia. Yeah, they said they didn't say, they had so many. They wanted to opt out, Gambia. And like advocates, though it is a process, we expect that the basic part of the process should be done, especially legislating what you yourself must be done locally. Yeah. So I'm happy that if you go to Ghana port, the customs, that one they've done very well. They have special codes for after products.
Right.
And that is what Alice was alluding to. So that when you fill the certificate of origin, it is not now that the custom people are now going to look at this. What kind of product is it? Is it an after product? This is what my point is that that is all I'm trying to say, that our legislation should be implemented, because those ones are. It doesn't take 1,000 years to do,
Right, right. Okay, so you would say that Rwanda and the Ivory Coast were successful? They were cool? Okay, and did you make enough sales as you expected to do?
Sincerely speaking, initially when I heard of AfTA, I saw it as a regular acronym I learned in the university. I didn't really see it to be something feasible. I read in an article that it's expected to boost intra-African trade with 52.3% within 5 years.
Right.
I equally read in a book that it's expected to take 30 million of Africans out of poverty. I also read in a book that it's going to increase the Africans' economy with $440 billion.
Right.
Sincerely speaking, I was like, this is English language, let's get serious. But participating, I would say it's a reality.
Right.
It's feasible.
Okay.
Feasible in the sense that right now I have a bigger market reach.
Right.
I have a bigger customer base, which means that I'll be able to engage more smallholder farmers, which means I'll be able to engage...
For your raw material.
For my raw materials, which means I'll be able to engage more women cooperatives, which means that I would be able to engage the shipping line more.
Right.
I would be able to produce more, basically. So considering the value chain, there is a connection.
Yeah.
So imagine 20 Ghanaians trading under AfCFTA, and they are getting the same sales I'm getting. Automatically, we are reducing poverty to some extent. Automatically, we are boosting the African economy, not just Ghana.
Right.
And contributing to the quota by producing more, giving them what I think they need regarding natural, regarding safe, regarding healthy. I think it's something to come by. It's feasible.
Okay.
It's just a matter of time for us to get ourselves figured out, but I think it's something very feasible.
Okay, all right. So this is Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television, and tonight we're taking a look at the phase 2 of the AfCFTA protocols, which has been approved, and they are relevant to continental trade. And with us in the studios tonight are Mr. Louis Yao Afol, who is an international trade expert and executive director of the APN Group of Firms and Africa Business Export Club 500. We also have in the studios Alice Frimpoma Boateng, who is the founder of AFB Golden Enterprise, and also in the studios Mr. Apia Kusi Adumako, West Africa Regional Director, CATS International, Accra. They are the gentleman and lady we are having a discussion with tonight. We're going for a quick break. When we return, we'll continue with the show. Please do stay with us.
Guys, now I'm tired. I'll go on a date with whoever gets here first.
Princess, really? Okay, I come.
Shut up!
Mame, Boss, fill my tank with Super XP Raw 95.
Fill up with Super XP Raw 95 and Diesel XP high performance products from Goyle.
Sorry, Tony got here first, so I'm stepping with him.
Oh, cut him. Hey, go for mommy.
Choose Super XP Raw 95 and Diesel XP for an energizing driving experience. Always go for Goyle Super XP Raw 95. Goyle, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse. And my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance Motor Policy. Currently, my goods are on the high seas, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302-246-319 or 0243-690-492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
Yes, you're welcome back. This is I am Port here on Metropolitan Television, and tonight we're taking a look at the Phase 2 protocols of the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, and we're trying to check its relevance to continental trade. And with us in the studios, Mr. Louis Awaful, trade expert, international trade expert, and executive director of the APN Group of Firms and Africa Business Export Club 500. Also in the studios, Madame Alice Frimpoma Boateng, founder of AFB Golden Enterprise. And also in the studios, Mr. Apia Kusi-Adumaku, who is the West Africa Regional Director, CATS International, Accra. They are the two gentlemen and lady we are having a discussion with tonight. I've been told that we can activate the phone lines for you to call in. The number to dial is 020-552-8353, 020-552-8353. You can call in and then contribute to the discussion. You can ask whatever questions are bothering your mind as far as the protocols which has been approved, that the Phase 2 protocols that have just been approved, and that's what we're discussing tonight. Let me come to Mr. Adumaku and let you tell us about the investment protocols.
Okay. So because before I go on to the investment protocol, I want us, because this program is Eye on the Port, I want us to look at how competition concerns in the port. So in the port, we have various players. We have the shipping lines, we have those that provide the docking services and the freight forwarding and what have you. Now, the problem, it becomes a competition concern when, for example, a shipping company sets its own logistics firm at the port and also set up a freight forwarding at the port. This is what is called horizontal there's a horizontal integration. Now, the problem is that they can decide to give a rebate to people who are using their service. For example, let's say Company X, the shipping line. Company X has a freight forwarding business at the port. So if you decide to use their freight forwarders, they will charge you lower.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, they can still make margin from the shipping charges.
Right.
And so the port has a lot of issue of anti-competitive issues there.
Right.
And we're hopeful that when the competition law is passed, there could be a market study of the Ghanaian port. This has been done all over the world. Because the competition law is to bring about efficiency.
Yeah.
When there's efficiency, people get, prices are lower, and there is quality and improvement of goods and services.
Right.
But some ports where you go, one company owns everything. Company A owns all the logistics. And they are monopoly on all the logistics at the port.
Right.
That means that nobody can compete with that particular firm. And because they have monopolized the port, it serves as an entry barrier, because it will be difficult for one new firm to enter the market to compete with them on the firm or at the port.
Right.
And so I think the port could be. We recently did some work for with the World Bank that looked at the port and the logistic mapping of West Africa, and we found some of these issues. And so I think they could be best dealt with when we get a competition law at the national level. Of course, the AfCFTA protocol can also look it at the continental level. Now, you asked about the investment protocol. So the investment protocol is also part of the Phase 3 protocol. Let me say that the protocol is yet to be ratified by Parliament.
Right.
And I'm sure that they would, the Ministry of Trade will start with the processes and get it ratified by Parliament. Now, the protocol on investment seeks to regulate investment in Africa. Now, when you take, for example, you go to Europe, this country, Ireland, decides that they want to attract foreign direct investors. So you realize that Google, all the big tech giants, went and set up their headquarters in the European, even the African head office in Ireland.
Right.
The reason being that the Irish government was giving them, I think, 5% corporate tax. And for that reason, all companies were going there to set up there. Now, under the EU law, for example, no country can do that. Because whenever you do that, you are giving, because others are charging 25% corporate tax, and you are giving a company 5%. Of course, you can say that it's your national policy.
Right.
But this is uncompetitive because you are trying to push all the businesses in your country.
Right.
So the AfCFTA investment protocol is also looking to ensure that we create a level protocol to guide investment in Africa. And one of them is to ensure that there, like what the GIPC is doing, how to go about investment promotion, investment facilitation, and also look at what time can a government decide to expropriate or nationalize a property. Because when a foreign investment comes into your country, there is an obligation by the host country to protect the investment.
Right.
But if you don't protect the investment and the investment collapses, no investment will come into your country again. For example, I don't know if investors will be willing to go to Sudan after this war, whereby all foreign assets were kind of decimated by the warring faction. And so the protocol is to urge member countries to protect investment, promote a better and also sustainable investment. Because we are looking at, when you take, for example, you can get a lot of foreign investors come into your country. They make all the profit. That will be registered as part of your GDP. But that investment does not promote the welfare of the people, the community where the investment is happening.
Right.
You go to Anglo Gold or Boase, for example. Go to Takwa, for example. All the gold are all mined over there. The road and the logistics and infrastructure in those cities are very, very bad. And so this is unsustainable because at the end of the day, when the gold and all these things are hot or non-renewable resources, once they have become depleted, you leave, and then you leave behind a city that will retrogress.
Right.
And so the protocol ensures that member countries will make sure that business that are investing will also engage in sustainable practices to be able to uplift the community and the society where they generate their dollars and their pounds and their euros.
All right, so let me come to Mr. Louis Yawaful. In Ghana, we have the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, basically dealing with all investment drives and all that for the country. And now we have these investment protocols coming in for after. Don't you think there will be some kind of conflicts?
No, I think that, like what my colleague Fred said, one of the things that we need to understand is that before AfCFTA came, we have the regional economic blocks.
Right.
These were existing. So AfCFTA came to be a harmonized of these ones. So all these regional economic blocks, they had their various existing practices, laws, and policies. The things that changed were these rules of origin and tariff regimes.
Yes.
Okay, and more so, these other protocols that we're discussing, like this one, like this, like we said earlier, the investment bill currently is yet to be passed into law in Ghana. And all that GIPC has been doing, you realize that they were even under the office of the president.
Right.
And now they are Ghana Investment Promotion Center. They will soon be an authority.
Yeah.
Good. Then again, you realize that they were also waiting to look at the Continental mirror of how the AfCFTA one will go. The investment protocol, one of the things that AfTA sought to do was to have it what we call the PASI, Pan-African Codes of Investment, to have a certain code. Because you realize they have codes for the way it's supposed to be done.
Right.
Because when you talk about investment, remember that an investor is a consumer. So you must understand, if an investor is a consumer, then everything that an investor needs like a consumer to make its investment viable, you need to provide.
Right.
Having said that, we need to have what we call cohesion policies within investment. If the cohesion policies will not be seen in the protocol on investment, it won't work. And that is what the EU has. The cohesion policy said that you are now going to look at how do we collaterally support some of the state parties who are not enjoying any forms of investment. So the Continental policy is looking at the cohesion side. We jointly will do that. So if you look at after protocol on investment, it says let us promote investment, what we call investment promotions. I think Article 5 or something, investment promotion. It is key. It is key. You know, I think one of my firms, we do what we call the Africa Globalized Investment. I set this company up because I knew we'll come to the point where investment will be needed. So that firm, what we do is that we only promote investment. Protocol. And what we do is that we partner the governments of these African countries. And then we ask them, what are your shortfalls in your economy? What kind of investors do you need?
Right.
Our recent communication with the government of Seychelles, they said, look, I'm moving away from the tourism sector because I've been dominant there. I want to diversify the economy. So what we are doing is that we are bringing investors from Africa. Now the issue have changed from foreign direct investment to now Africa direct investment.
Right.
So the Africa direct investment, we are deploying investors from within Africa to feed the investment shortfalls within the African perspective. And so if that is so, that is why every state party is expected to organize investment promotions. GIPC is doing it. But what I think that GIPC should also look and focus, in my personal opinion to them, is to look at intra-regional investments. I think when I was growing, there was a program in a trade fair called inter-investment something. They used to have a certain term for it.
Right.
Where companies come to trade fair when we're growing. And then
grant sales.
The grant sales was one. There was one. We had inter-tourism. We had inter-tourism, the inter-something.
Okay.
When you do the inter, then you will be able to do a certain mop and see that even within Ghana, there are so many investments that we have potentials here. We don't even need to look outside.
Okay.
So we need to focus on that because you cannot go the Continental when you are not done with your local here.
Right. Okay. So let me take some messages. I want to come with deal briefly with the intellectual property rights protocol, and then we call it a day. We have barely 4 minutes to wrap up. This one says, "I'm happy about today's discussion. I am Port. Can your experts give us an idea of how companies in Ghana can benefit from the guided trade initiative?" My name is Mabel in Accra. And this one says, "I am hopeful that when AfTA plays out fully, AfTA protocols will be able to override nationalist policies. Because you just cited the case of Ireland in the EU. I can only imagine for Africa." This one is from Ajekumi in Takrade. This one says, "Ahead Ghana will be looking forward to some specific product lines. Ghana will be focusing on some specific product lines we have comparative advantage in. If this is true, can they share some of these?" This one is from Mary in Takwa.
It was him. I think I could mention the EU.
Yes.
Okay. So I think the EU sets a very good, because EU has been there for many years, and AfCFTA seeks not to make the mistake that the EU has made, and so we are kind of learning from the EU as a very good model. And we say that the best thing to do in this world is to learn from people's mistake, not your own mistake.
Right.
That is why in law, they have case laws where the judges will look at it to see to what extent does it align with you, and then you make a decision from that. And so AfCFTA is still at its teething phase. It will not solve all of our problems for us, but at least it will solve majority of our problems, and we should begin to appreciate the African identity. Even if you want to go for vacation, you can go to Gambia. I was in Gambia somewhere February this year, and I saw a lot of European tourists coming there.
Right.
Unfortunately, air travel in West Africa is very expensive. It's more cheaper to go to Dubai or to go to London or Paris, all because of the demand for air travel is limited. And also, most of the airlines are also monopolists on the route, and so they tend to go charge monopolist rent.
Right.
As we get more airlines operating, and as the demand for air travel increases, prices will come down.
Right. Okay.
I think with respect to the other two questions,
yes,
the guided trade initiative, look, our firm is open.
Right.
We have established what we call the ABEC, Africa Business Export Club.
Right.
And our focus is to help exporters who might not be in the radar of governments, that they can join us and we'll give them the opportunity. They can also contact the National Coordinating Office of the African Trade House under the Ministry of Trade. These two organizations can also, we can help, they can also help. We will only connect you to them and also do the market for you. The other one that the person said, now we are moving away from comparative advantage age. We are now in what we call technological competitiveness.
Okay.
So yes, Ghana, yes, we have. We know we had ceramic. Under the guided trade initiative, Ghana had a lot of this clay. And so there's a powerful ceramic company here in Ghana, I think Western region. And their export was heading towards, I think, Cairo, Egypt. So, and even if you come here, we have raw materials like bamboo. If we tell you the uses of bamboo, and go and look, ask the agriculturalists, it doesn't take a long time for bamboos to grow. And look at it, they come in so many. But they tell you what bamboos can do. In fact, those in the real estate business, when wood was becoming a problem, they sought bamboo. I won't even talk about the toothpicks. But there are so many other even uses of bamboo. So these are raw materials that with technological competitiveness, you can be able to take the lead. So Ghana has so many.
Okay. I think we are running out of time. So let me come and take 1 minute from Mr. Adumaku, and then we wrap up with Alice. The intellectual property rights protocol, just briefly, so 1 minute, if you can touch on it, and then we wrap up with Alice. We have barely 2 minutes to go.
So intellectual property protocol seeks to protect inventions and work that native Africans have done. For example, Alice is wearing a kente strip on her. Now, this kente strip we know originated from Ghana, but because we did not seek patent for it, now people take it to China and design it and bring it. So people are not getting reward for their labor.
Their toil,
that is a big problem of China. Chinese will take a product from America and do a reverse engineering and sell it. When you do that, you are killing innovation because people spend a lot of money to design products. So if people are getting it for free, they will not have any incentive to innovate again.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Alice, we are closing up. We're wrapping up with you. Just if you can briefly, 1 minute or 30 seconds, tell us about some of the things that you think that the AfCFTA coordinating office can do to improve your sales and your operations.
Okay, as an entrepreneur, I would lay emphasis on logistics and transport.
Right. Okay.
I haven't experienced that myself because they often handle that for me.
Right.
I'm looking forward to a day when I'll be able to export on my own. What happens?
Right.
Just like Mr. Louis stated earlier regarding some controversies we had in Nigeria last year.
Right.
Yes, it's a new policy, but we're looking forward to the fact that it will be smooth and safer. We're looking forward to minimize the bureaucracy at least by 80%.
Right.
it should just come down so we will be able to trade more. And after Secretariat, they are doing very well. The After Policy Network are doing extremely well. NCO, they are doing extremely well. But sincerely speaking, to make this AfCFTA a reality, we can't forgo the involvement of the youth.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So the youth. That's Alice Frimpoma Boateng, who is founder of AFB Golden Enterprise. Also in the studios has been Mr. Louis Yao-Afo, international trade expert and executive director, APN Group of Firms and Africa Business Export Club 500. And then Mr. Apia Kusi Adomako, who is the West Africa Regional Director, CAPS International Accra. They are the three personalities we've been having a discussion with tonight, examining the after phase 2 protocols and their relevance to continental trade. We'd like to say big thanks to our sponsors, Ghana Regional Authority, Govt PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, and Indeed Phoenix Insurance. Remember, the show is proudly powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, GPHA. We entreat you to watch the brief version of the show on Ghana Television at 8:30 p.m. on Wednesday. Indeed, I entreat you also to keep watching the rest of our programs here, and we wish you a very super week ahead as we sign out. Good evening.